What you dwell on is what you're inviting in. That's what you allow to become a reality. I heard a story about a man named Nick. He was a big, strong, tough man, and he'd worked out in the railroad yards for many, many years, and he was one of the company's most reliable employees. But Nick was a chronic worrier. He's always fearing the worst, talking about what might happen. One summer day, the crew was told that they could leave an hour early to attend a birthday party of one of the foremans. Nick was out working in one of the refrigerated boxcars when somehow he accidentally got locked inside. Didn't have a cell phone, a radio, everybody else was gone. When he realized he was trapped in that car, he began to panic. He started screaming at the top of his lungs. He beat on those doors hour after hour until his fists were bloodied. He finally had his voice give out. Nick was very aware that he was in a refrigerated boxcar. He guessed that the temperature was well below freezing. He began to fear the worst. He thought, if I don't get out of here, I could freeze to death. There's no way I can make it all night. The more he thought about it, the colder he got. Shivering almost uncontrollably, he found a piece of cardboard in that boxcar. He wrote a note. It said, "So cold, body getting numb. These may be my last words." The next morning, when the crew came in, opened the big steel doors, they saw Nick's body curled up over in the corner. The autopsy revealed, indeed, he had frozen to death. Here's the amazing part of the story. The refrigeration unit in the car Nick was in that night was never even on. The temperature in that car where he froze to death was 61 degrees. Nick froze to death because he was convinced in his thinking he was in a freezing car. The thing he feared came upon him. Let me ask you, are you fearing freezing to death, so to speak, even though it's 61 degrees? Like that young lady afraid you won't get pregnant, even though there's really nothing wrong with you. Fear blows things out of proportion. Fear makes problems much bigger than they really are. Maybe God sent you today for a perspective change. Maybe what you're fearing is never even going to happen. Maybe that obstacle that looks permanent is really only temporary. Perhaps like Nick, you feel trapped. Everything tells you you'll never get out. You'll never get ahead. You'll never get well. You'll never get married. No, God is saying, don't worry, the refrigeration unit is not on. I've got you in the palm of my hand. No weapon formed against you is ever going to prosper. It may feel dark and lonely, like it's not going to work out, but God is saying, if you will stay in faith, I will deliver you, I will protect you, I will heal you, I will vindicate you, I will restore you. I will not only bring you out, I'll bring you out better off than you were before. Now you got to do your part. Don't panic. Don't fear the worst. Don't imagine every negative thing that could happen. No, say like David, Psalm 27, "The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord protects me from danger. Why should I be afraid? Though an army surrounds me, though they attack me from every side, I may feel trapped. I don't see a way out. Medical report doesn't look good. My bank statement tells me I'm not going to make it, but that's okay. I know a secret. God is still on the throne. Nothing I'm facing is a surprise to Him. The enemy doesn't have the final say. God has the final say. And He says, I will always cause you to triumph. Now be strong and of good courage. The Lord your God is with you." Friends, throughout life, fear will come knocking at the door. Tell you the worst case scenario, like that young Marine, you're not going to make it out. You're not going to stay healthy. Your business is going to go down. No, here's the key. When fear knocks, let faith answer the door. Don't give those thoughts of fear the time of day. Don't let them intimidate you. Answer back with faith. Lord, you said the number of my days you would fulfill. God, you said your plans for me are for good and not evil. God, you said what's meant for my harm, you'd turn around and use to my advantage. When fear knocks, let faith answer the door. I was flying out of Canada one time, early in the morning. Our flight was delayed for several hours because of the fog. Everywhere we looked, there was this thick, dense fog. You could barely see anything. We thought the whole city was fogged in. But when we took off, we looked down and noticed it was just a pocket of fog, about a 1-mile area surrounding the airport. This is the way fear is. Fear presents itself much bigger than it really is. It will tell you all the worst case scenarios to try to get you worried, anxious, uptight, panicked. No, just smile and say, fear, I know your tricks. You're all bark and no bite. You may look big, but I'm not impressed. I know the truth. There's nothing really to you. That's how you activate faith and not fear. When you do this, the greatest force in the universe goes to work. Those problems may be big, but our God is much bigger. Your obstacles may be high, but we serve the Most High.
Hello everyone, this is Annie from Life's Classroom, and I just wanted to share with anyone and everyone who's listening one of the best advice I've ever received from the pastor Joel Osteen, who does sermons every day, at least twice a day. He's on the TBN channel. I see it on 295, but I don't know what cable channel you have, where, depending on where you are in the world. All you have to do is go on the internet and research Joel Osteen. And you'll find all his videos. And also Joyce Myers is also another excellent preacher, and T.D. Jakes. The point I'm trying to say is this is one of the best sermons I've ever heard, I've ever received. And anyone who's listening, if you're a human being and you have weaknesses, mind, body, and spirit, and so sometimes the simplest and the most common sense thoughts and ideas are very hard to practice, to listen to. Giving up junk food, say, okay, I'm going to give up junk food. All you have to do is don't buy it, get rid of it, don't think about it, but it's easier said than done. Sometimes the best and the simplest advice is not so easy because as human beings, we're weak in the mind and we're weak in the flesh. And so as much as you want to give up something you love, it's very hard. And some of us may not want to be honest with ourselves and say, oh, I don't need to hear that. I don't need to know that. I don't need advice. I know what to do. But a lot of times, sometimes the simplest and the best advice and wisdom in the gospel, and it's needed over and over and over again because it's simple, it's common sense, and but we need to be reminded, okay, your health, your mind, your body, your spirit, the health of your being is very important. Go back to eating healthy. Go back to listening to the gospel. Go back to doing and thinking healthy. Think healthy, do healthy, act healthy. It's very simple, but our minds are so consumed with like thousands and thousands of thoughts. We don't want to make the same mistakes, do the same bad things. We don't want to what's right, what's wrong. I don't want to offend this one. I don't want to offend that one. You're worried about what this one thinks or that one thinks, or sometimes just your carnal, low brain, human weakness of your flesh gives in, and then you don't think about eating healthy. You don't think about thinking healthy. You don't think about the wisest or the most common sense thought. Your brain is constantly thinking. So sometimes we need to go back to the simplest words of wisdom of how to think positive, how to eat positive and healthy, how to act positive and healthy. And it is the simplest, the commonest, and the most common sense ideas is really the gospel. It's really just knowing that your health is first and most important, mind, body, and spirit. And a lot of these simple ideas, common sense ideas, not that you have to be like so intelligent or so wise, but because of the weakness of our mind and of our flesh, and because we always have thousands of thoughts in our brain, we don't remember, oh, I need to eat healthy, I need to think healthy, I need to act upon eating and thinking healthy. My health is important. You know, do what's right, do what's spiritually correct. But getting to the point of Joel Osteen and his message and his words, and he is very motivational, very inspirational. Um, Joel Osteen, Joyce Myers, T.D. Jakes, just the TBN channel to begin with. You hear there's many, many, many stories and many preachers, but these three preachers, Joel Osteen, Joyce Myers, T.D. Jakes, I think they are most effective, to the point effective, and they give you real life stories. And I think it's very, very, very important for anyone, even if you're not a Christian, even if you don't believe in God. This it's inspirational. There's a lot of lessons to be learned, and I just think that this is one of the best messages that I've ever received, and I hope any and everyone listening um, could and would appreciate it, or someone you may know. Thanks again. This is Annie from Life's Classroom, hoping that any video, any message that I have to send out to you out there is valuable and appreciated in some way, because that's my whole point of making this channel and sending out messages. Thanks again. This is Annie signing out.